Good morning, folks. This is Greg Judy on a bitter, cold, snowy, icy morning here in central Missouri. It's January 2nd, and it's cold out here. I'll show you my face. I couldn't wear my glasses this morning with this silly mask on, covering my nose up. It just kept fogging up, so I had to take those off. So you can see where I'm going. Got David and I, and Connor was under the weather a little bit last night, so he's getting better this morning. We came out here this morning, and all the cattle were in a mob, and they'd actually were on that next hillside, so we rolled the wire up and gave them a strip. But when you get this cold, I don't know, it's below zero out here this morning. It's a wind chill. I think they said the nominal temperature was 7 degrees, but I'll show you my hay feeding setup. That's it. The ice is froze on the top of the bale with the netting, and so what we're doing is we're cutting the netting off, and it comes off in a great big old leafy chunk, and then David's up there just scraping the hay off of the netting. Then we get that out of here. Folks, don't leave the netting in the paddock. I'm sorry, but that's just being lazy. You leave that netting on that bale and throw it out here in the field. It may not get you one time, but it will get you. We lost about a $4,000 bull because we had an intern that just left it out in the field, the netting. I was unrolling it. We were in the truck, and I just figured he threw it on the truck, but he didn't. He left it laying in the field, and the bull, once he got it in his mouth, he just kept eating it and eating, just like spaghetti. Took the whole netting down, and it killed him. Wasn't anything we could do for him. And so netting is a real liability, leaving it out here with these cattle. I just don't understand why anybody would do that, but you see it all the time. I mean, we bought a farm, our landowners did, and the guy before him, every bale he fed, he left the netting on it, and it was a mess. I took a skid steer, and it took me 8 hours to scrape all that netting and manure and old rotten hay, and it was just a mess. And I'm like, why in the world would you do that? But I'm gonna go ahead and start unrolling the seat. Hey, look, this Greg Judy bale unroller on a cold morning. This four-wheeler started. First time I hit the button, it started. With no plugging in, nothing. It just hook it on and go. Feeding 320 head this morning with a 750-pound four-wheeler. No traffic. And it's slick out here. We got ice, and then we got some snow. Not much, just enough to make it white. But we've got a perimeter fence over there keeping them from going that way. We've actually got some pretty good stockpile over there. We're saving that for the bulls when we take the bulls out in March. You can see it's coming off right good. The petting the cat method, where you turn your bale the opposite direction it should be when you rolled it up, baling it, then you can go a long way. We got boys, we got girls, so you can just go right in amongst them. I like to feed my hay fairly tight in a square like this when it's this cold, because if you do, you keep all your animals close together, and they're going to be a lot more comfortable. Okay? What I mean by comfortable is they can use each other's heat to stay warm. If you take a windrow and just take off across that landscape over there, and it's only let's say 6 feet wide, your cows are all stretched out. Now, I've fed them intentionally down on this little peninsula right here. I've got timber down there, across there, and all the way up this side. Plus, it's kind of down in a little valley here. It's off the ridge. So this is the warmest spot on this whole paddock. So try and get your cows out of the wind. Get them in an area that's got some southern exposure. They're south. And you know what? That sun's going to be up here. It's already starting to come out a little bit. The cows are going to be comfortable in here, and I'd say by the night, I don't know, they still may have some ice froze on their back. You can see that? That's ice. They're comfortable. I mean, these cows are used to being outside. That's what they do. They don't need to be up in the shelter somewhere. You put this many cows up in a barn, they're going to get hot. And then when they go outside and they're hot, you're going to have sickness in your cattle. We have less incidents with sickness when our cows are out in the cold weather, actually. It's that hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold is what gets you. It's the same with a person. You know, if you get hot and then you go outside and it's cold and you keep doing that all day long, jumping in and out of a cab. I think that's the sickest I ever got. Was I was going in and out of a cab all day long, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot. And that night, man, I was sick. And it's because your body's just not used to that cold, hot stuff. And the cattle are the same way. So once it gets cold, they get accustomed to it, and they're kind of good. They're good to go, you know. Don't be putting them in a building. But that is a Honda Rubicon. I love that Rubicon. And that's because of this right here. It's got that high-low range on it. Okay. I wanted to give a shout out to people that are tougher than I am. George, you're in Minnesota, and you sent me a picture of the morning. It was 30 below zero. 30 below zero. Now, I was born up by Duluth, Minnesota, but I was a little fella. We moved out of there when I was, gosh, I hadn't started school yet, so I was probably 5, 6 years old. And I remember Mom and Dad talking about, we ran a dairy up there. It was so cold that the ground, you had to put your pipes 8 feet in the ground or your water lines would freeze. In Missouri, we go down about 28 to 30 inches to keep our pipes from freezing. So we're putting down some fertility. We got the carbon out here. The cows are eating it. They're pooping. They're peeing. They're working some of this into the ground that they won't eat. And so we're actually fertilizing. It makes you feel a little better to feed hay when you know you're going to grow grass with it. We're going to grow more grass next year. And so putting them all up in a barn and feeding them in a barn, that just doesn't make any sense. Not when you got good solid ground underneath you. I mean, look at that. There's nature's cleaner coming up right there, the sun. Cows are comfortable out here. I'm not. It's cold for a human, but we don't have hair. We don't have hair on us. And we don't have that big fermentation tank. They got a big old fermentation tank of microbes in their gut. The rumen. That rumen. And as long as they get water to drink, which they've got a creek right below us here flowing, they can go down and get them a drink anytime they want. Folks, my fingers are freezing off. I got to get out of here. Everyone have a good one. Hit that subscribe button on the way out. And I'm going to be posting our spring grazing schools here probably today. That's going to be in May. So watch for that on our website, greenpasturesfarm.net. Y'all take care.